Breaking. This is not a geopolitical exercise. This is a direct kinetic confrontation that has already begun. At precisely 0230 a.m., Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, the United States launched an unprecedented military operation, striking deep into Venezuelan territory. The targets: 3 massive oil refineries on the strategic Paraguaná Peninsula. The outcome: total destruction, with 89 workers confirmed dead and infernos that have raged uncontrolled for hours. Why would the U.S. risk war for oil? We will reveal the secret intelligence report that triggered this catastrophic airstrike, a report that claims Venezuela was preparing to execute a plan that threatened global energy markets. Watch until the very end, because the type of aircraft used, a single B-2 stealth bomber, shows a terrifying level of strategic dominance that Maduro has no defense against. Now, the operation begins. The strike, codenamed Operation Petro Shock, began in the dead of night. The target zone was the Paraguaná Peninsula, home to Venezuela's largest and most crucial oil processing facilities. At 0230 a.m., Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, a single U.S. B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, launched from a forward operating base thousands of miles away, delivered a precision payload. The payload was a cluster of specialized bunker buster munitions designed to penetrate the hardened concrete shells of the refinery units. Moving to the next target. Targets locked. The 3 destroyed refineries represented nearly 70% of Venezuela's total refining capacity. The strategic aim, confirmed by intelligence sources around 0235 a.m., Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, was to cripple its ability to convert crude oil into usable fuel, crippling both its military logistics and its ability to export refined products for cash. The coordinated destruction sent shockwaves across global commodity markets, with oil prices immediately spiking over 10% in early trading hours. This single act of military aggression was designed to send an unmistakable message: the U.S. will not tolerate state-sponsored actions that threaten global economic stability. The critical data point: the human toll. The most heartbreaking consequence began to unfold immediately after 0300 a.m. The 89 casualties confirmed were not soldiers, but industrial workers, caught completely unaware. The infernos ignited by the precision strikes were fueled by millions of gallons of highly volatile hydrocarbons. This immense human cost adds a profound layer of tragedy and controversy to the U.S. military operation. The justification: the preemptive defense. The official White House statement, released in the morning hours of Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, was terse, citing an imminent threat to U.S. and allied interests. However, our deep dive into the underlying intelligence reveals the true catalyst. The Maduro regime was reportedly executing a covert plan to utilize its refining capacity to produce highly volatile, chemically unique fuel blends specifically designed to evade international sanctions and destabilize oil prices by flooding the black market. This was interpreted by Washington as an act of economic warfare. The U.S. airstrike was presented as a preemptive defense against an economic weapon. The Venezuelan failure, military paralysis. President Nicolas Maduro's initial televised address, delivered around midday Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, was characterized by outrage. Yet, the reality on the ground exposed the utter collapse of Venezuelan air defense capabilities. The Paraguaná Peninsula is theoretically protected by a network of Russian-supplied S-300 surface-to-air missile batteries. The B-2's dominance. Stealth advantage. The successful destruction of the 3 refineries by a single, unhindered B-2 bomber confirms that Venezuela's Russian-built air defenses were completely blind to the attack. The B-2 Spirit, a technological marvel, flew thousands of miles into Venezuelan airspace, executed its mission with surgical precision, and returned without even triggering a single defensive launch. This demonstrates a massive technological asymmetry, signaling to the world that U.S. strategic air power can penetrate any air defense network in the Western Hemisphere at will. The global impact. UPEC's emergency session. Throughout the afternoon of Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, global oil prices continued their sharp ascent, reaching multi-year highs. OPEC was forced into an emergency session discussing whether to dramatically increase production to calm the markets destabilized by the loss of the Venezuelan refining capacity. The international divide. The condemnation. China and Russia issued harsh condemnations of the U.S. airstrike. However, the condemnation lacked any promise of direct military intervention. The military reality. Asymmetric warfare. The airstrike, executed on Tuesday, October 21, 2025, was a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. The U.S. used a multi-billion-dollar platform to surgically eliminate low-cost, high-value infrastructure targets. The destruction of the 3 refineries underscores a doctrine that targets the ability to function, not just the ability to fight. The humanitarian crisis. Suffering intensifies. Beyond the 89 workers killed, the humanitarian consequences are profound. The loss of 70% of refining capacity means Venezuela can no longer produce domestic fuel, paralyzing its internal distribution of food, medicine, and clean water. Millions of Venezuelan citizens face a severe lack of basic necessities throughout the upcoming winter of 2025. The economic fears. Long-term aftershocks. The long-term fear among traders is that the damage to the massive Amuay and Cardón complexes is irreparable in the short term, requiring years and billions of dollars to rebuild. This permanent loss of refining capacity fundamentally reshapes the dynamics of global energy security. A new Cold War frontier. The attack on Tuesday, October 21, 2025, officially establishes Venezuela as a new Cold War frontier. The destruction of the 3 refineries is a chilling reminder of the U.S.'s willingness to project military force against economic threats in its own backyard. The deeper strategy. The CIA's hidden hand. The successful execution of Operation Petro Shock confirms the significant role of CIA intelligence in target acquisition. The B-2 required surgical precision against all 3 targets, suggesting an extensive, long-term CIA infiltration operation that compromised key personnel within the state-owned PDVSA oil company. The true vulnerability exploited wasn't just the air defenses, but the human element, local intelligence assets who provided the B-2 bomber with the exact coordinates for maximum impact. The real reason. The Maduro regime's secret deals. Our intelligence suggests the Maduro regime was finalizing a secret, multi-billion-dollar oil for weapons deal with Iran and China. The 3 refineries were set to produce a specialized, high-octane jet fuel requested by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. The U.S. airstrike was about preventing the transfer of advanced military-grade fuel to U.S. adversaries. The counter-threat. Fear of retaliation. Experts predict a surge in state-sponsored guerrilla warfare and cyber attacks. The killing of 89 workers provides the Maduro regime with powerful propaganda to justify such vengeance, escalating the conflict from a remote airstrike to a domestic security threat across the Western Hemisphere. The quiet winner. The oil tycoons. While global markets panicked, powerful oil tycoons, particularly those in the Middle East and Russia, quietly celebrated the destruction of the 3 refineries. The removal of 70% of Venezuelan refining capacity guarantees higher profit margins for their own crude oil exports for years to come. The Russian failure. Air defense examined. The S-300 batteries, supplied by Russia, failed catastrophically because the U.S. B-2 bomber utilized a low-altitude penetration profile and advanced electronic countermeasures, ECM. The failure is a massive embarrassment for Moscow, demonstrating that its primary export in air defense technology is obsolete against modern U.S. stealth platforms. The extended crisis. Medicine and water. The loss of the 3 refineries means diesel fuel, essential for running hospitals and water purification plants, will soon be unavailable. The death of 89 workers is only the beginning of the human toll. Millions of Venezuelan citizens face a severe lack of basic necessities throughout the upcoming winter of 2025. The new doctrine, strategic reckoning. The boldness of the U.S. airstrike against the 3 refineries signals a new era of U.S. foreign policy, direct, preemptive action against economic threats. The U.S. is now willing to use its most powerful military assets to protect its global economic interests, regardless of the political fallout or the confirmed 89 worker deaths. The legend. B-2 Spirit's operational legacy. The single B-2 Spirit bomber that executed the strike will enter military legend. The mission required multiple mid-air refuelings, spanning a flight time of over 30 hours round trip. The choice of a single B-2 was a deliberate psychological move, emphasizing that the U.S. does not need a large force to achieve total military dominance. The Purge, CIA's counterintelligence. Venezuelan counterintelligence services are in a state of chaos, tasked with identifying and neutralizing the CIA assets responsible for providing the surgical targeting data for the 3 refineries. The fear is that the CIA has an entire network of highly placed moles within the Venezuelan government, military, and PDVSA oil company. The final checkmate, the Maduro regime's end. The U.S. Airstrike has engineered a checkmate, forcing Venezuela to choose between national suicide and international pariah status. The fire from the 3 refineries may die down, but the geopolitical inferno has just begun. The call to vigilance. The fires may burn out, but the strategic conflict is just beginning. If you want the unvarnished truth and the deepest analysis of the wars and geopolitical strategies shaping our future, you need to be here. Click the subscribe button now and join the ranks of those who understand the true stakes of modern warfare. In our next report, we reveal the top-secret countermeasures Russia is now desperately deploying to protect its deep strike drone blind spots. Do not risk missing it.